Hey guys, Rob with RubberToe Assembly with another 20 by 8 shed video. Going to show you how to do walls and shelves today. Here is your 20-foot section of flooring already laid out. Staging some corners. This is an AGW and a AGL. They're labeled. It's always going to be your side with the wall on it that has no doors. They're going to be those two labeled panels. Here's your first thin panel. It's going to go right up against the middle doors. And if you look at this first thin panel, I dropped it in already and slid it over to the right. And then your next panel is going to be the window panel. But if you look at that first panel, on the very top left right there, as you see that little notch, that's going to go up against your door. If that notch is not there, grab the other thin panel. Make sure that notch is to the left side there. That's on the side of your doors. And that's going to be your beginning panel. This next window panel, drop all 4 blocks into the floor, as you see. Nice snug fit, and I gave it a couple of kicks so it goes over and connects to your first thin panel next to your doors there. And you make sure you have a nice flush run at the top, right there my hand is. Make sure it's nice and flush, and then just go down the line and insert all your screws all the way down that first run there, first line. So your first 2 panels have been started already. And I'm going to basically build this whole right side of the shed, if you will. It'll be the whole right side of the shed. Here's your first window. It's going to be close to the doors. And I'm going to run this wall run all the way to this first corner, wrap it around to the other corner on the back side wall there, and then go down all that back line with it, or at least halfway across with this one. And then I'm going to put the shelf here on in this corner. It's going to hold this whole right side. Once that shelf is up, it's going to hold all the wall runs where they're supposed to be. Here's a block of wood. You just place it at the bottom of each wall and give it a couple of taps. You put in that little groove there sideways like you saw me just do right there, and give it a couple of taps with the mallet, however many, to make sure you have a nice tight wall run. And then these panels are tightly together, because when you get to the corner, you're going to want room. You don't want it to overshoot or your corner there, and then your corner won't fit. Anyway, the next solid panel goes in next to the window. All 4 digits plug into the flooring. Make sure they're all pulled down, and then you tap it over. If you have to give it also a couple of taps with that block of wood at the very bottom of the run, then do so. You just put the edge of the wood, line it up with the edge of the groove of the panel, and tap, 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 because you don't want to damage your panel, and that's what the block is for. So you have your first 3 panels run all the way to your first corner. This is the one that's labeled AGW, and it's got that fold right there, as you see. You plug in your first 2 digits into the flooring. Make sure they're in there nice and connected, and then I gave it a kick all the way to the edge there, about a 1/4 inch, I would say, right up next to the edge of where that fold is going to line up with the corner. And then you just fold it right there, wrap it around that corner, make sure it's all nice and lined up. Those last 2 digits, as you can see them lining up with those holes, you're going to pull down really firmly at the top, and you should hear a click, click, and they both click into place. If you don't hear the clicks, then it's probably hasn't connected into the flooring. And here you have little brick stones that we're building on. So your flooring is pretty much level for the most part, but you're going to have some low spots here. So, which is quite common when building, even on concrete, you might have low spots. They give you wedges to set underneath here. It doesn't seem to be plugging in, but you can slide some wedges underneath the black flooring, as you see there, if you need be, to help it plug into place. It lifts the flooring up as you're pulling down, and it plugs into place. But this one seems to be not going. There's an issue here. So I'm glad that I'm showing an issue. Show you how to problem solve when things don't go right. Here is the issue. These 2 got bent. They are bent, and they're not going to plug in if they're bent. So you just get a pair of channel locks, just as you see here, a little trick I learned, and bend these straight. Don't tweak it too badly. Just bend them just a little bit enough so that they're straightened out and they're not crimped or anything or damaged. They're nice and straight. If you have to slice off a little extra plastic, then make sure it's all clear of debris, and they're all straight. So you got all 4 of those plug into the flooring nice and straight, and we're going to give it another shot here. Great that I showed you one of my little tricks here. I had to take the panel out. Obviously I took it out, and then I looked at the bottom and I saw what the problem was, which was those two bent little plugs. And here, now that they're straight, you line them all up straight, both of those holes, and you pull down really tight at the top, and you hear a click click, should be into place. Perfect. There you go. So that corner is installed correctly, and you should have a nice level run at the top there where my hand is right there. Make sure it's level, nice and flush there at the top. That lines up perfect at the top of your run there, and you can start, and it should line up with those pilot holes. Yep, bingo. And then you just go right down that run with putting the screws into the pilot holes, and so your right corner is installed. And then you have your whole right side up until the end there all set where it's supposed to go. That ladder is used to help hold your wall runs wherever necessary. And then you're going to get two solid wall panels. Here's another example. It's not plugging in. You just put some wedges on that back side underneath the flooring. Little trick I learned, and it can help plug it in because it lifts the flooring up at the same time, helps it plug in. Or maybe a pry bar lifting up on the flooring as you pull down at the top, and you can get that thing to plug in without having to take the whole panel out. Or if you have to take the panel out and check it like you did on the corner, then do so. Anyway, that got clicked into place, and then the next panel and off to the opposite corner. This one is labeled AGL, and it plugs in. You shove it over to about 1/4 inch from the edge there. If you have a nice tight panel run using that block at the bottom, then this corner should be lined up perfect. It looks like a little low spot on that back corner. It's low in the back side there, so these don't seem to be wanting to go in for some reason. Lift up the flooring, either put wedges under there to help it, or pieces like this from the little grooves, little burrs and stuff, plastic pieces. Of course, it's hitting that plastic piece instead of dropping in where it's supposed to be. So there you go. Plug that first one, click click. Second one clicks into place, so that panel, that corner panel, is installed correctly. All right. And then you, this particular one, it's about a finger's space or finger and a half or so from the top. It's not a flush edge because you're going to have your gable right there. So see there where my hand is? It's about a finger space down on that panel. Same with the opposite corner. It's a finger space down from the two panels in the middle, because you're going to have your gable up there, and it's going to fit and click into place just like a puzzle piece at the very top of your wall run right there. So I'm just going down with the remaining screws and attaching that panel. And then I'm going to put a shelf here, show you how to hang the shelf, and keeps this whole right side wall run. It's going to lap all the way around. It's almost all the way around right now. I'm going to put one more panel, and it'll lap all the way around that whole right side of the 20-foot shed. You'll have walls, and then I'm going to hang a shelf there, and the shelf is going to help with the integrity of holding it, all those panels where they're supposed to be. That shelf is going to hold everything in place, which I haven't put on yet, but I'm going to. Here is another example of using that block sideways with a couple of taps into that groove on the edge of the wall panel, and make sure that's tightly up against the corner wall panel. And then here you're back to making sure it has a nice flush edge at the top of the run right there, which it does. Put all those screws in, and that whole left side back wall is going to go all the way across. So you want to keep all those panels as tight as you can with that little block, banging it at the bottom with that little block. And then off to the shelf, because that long stretch of panels on the left side, once that whole back wall is attached, you want to make sure all those panels are tight by the time you get to your next corner, so your corner won't be off by an inch or two. That would be bad. Here is your shelf. Getting right to it. You got two wall rails, and you got the two holes are always going to be at the top of these wall rails that go on, except for the exception of a few areas like by the doors on the left side. Then it's only, you flip it upside down, put it on the edge of the door. Anyway, different situations. You got your first wall rail there, right in line with the notch on the wall panels, and then here's your other notch right there where my hand is. That's where your other wall rail is going to get put on. 4 screws, tack that on there real quick. Move the ladder out of the way, and then this shelf is really long, and the edges, you might want to, there's 2 holes on each edge that are going to plug into the walls shortly. I'm going to show you, and you want to make sure those little holes are flush and clear of debris. Like deburr those holes, make sure that nothing's plastic is coming off those holes when you put the shelf up. Anyway, I have a deburring video you can check out on that. Hang these cantilever brackets about 75% of the way up from the ground. Right about where you see there is a nice comfortable area for integrity, holding that whole run together. Here it says front right there, and if it doesn't say front on the shelf, you got these holes right here, right there, little pilot holes. That's going to show that that's your front. With the little pilot holes are only going to be on one side. That's your front side. This turn those little cantilever brackets and line them up with those holes. Put a little screw in there. That one set, pre-drill hole, and then this second one you might have to slide the cantilever bracket a little to the left or to the right, and there's a little indentation there, and just use that little indentation as a hole, and then you put your second screw. And then here is the edges I was telling you to deburr. The part where it presses against the wall there, make sure it's flat, which I must have deburred these already. It feels nice and flush. If there's any plastic infraction there in between the wall and the shelf, you want to slice it off, make sure it's nice flat, flush against the wall there. Those screws will go right in. If there's any abstraction, then the screws will spin out before they get to pulling it together. So there's your shelf, there's your walls. Hope this helpful video has helped you guys a lot, and thanks a lot for watching. Please like and subscribe, greatly appreciated. Look forward to more videos. Thanks guys. RubberToe over now. Take care. Bye bye.